What is the idea of the conference? We have to reduce the CO2 emission by 55%. 55% is huge.
How can we deliver on the expectations of Europeans in a world changing so fast? I think we need a new social rule book. We must reconcile our economy with the social and the planet.
We are not conservative as a trade union movement. We are really convinced that greening the economy, introducing innovation and digitalization into the economy is a great opportunity also for workers. But for this to be an opportunity, we need to make sure that everybody feels involved, everybody is not left behind.
I think trade unions have to be much more active in terms of actually being at the center of this discussion about the direction of the economy. So the economic growth doesn't just have a rate, it has a direction. Innovation doesn't just have a rate, it has a direction. Anytime we talk about things like a green transition or the sustainable development goals, we are by definition talking about the direction of change.
There is a real danger of an increasing unemployment looming. And therefore, we have to develop now labor market policies which allow us also to manage the big transitions we are heading for.
It's clear that we need to think of the natural capital as foundational for any society in the long term. We still live in a model that is often dominated by this. Turning that model around is absolutely essential.
Et la voie que vous tracez, donc concevoir, adopter, déployer un nouveau contrat socio-écologique est fondamental parce qu'elle rassemble. Mais ce contrat doit intégrer une nouvelle partie prenante, la nature.
The union movement being at the forefront of the solutions that are needed to move dirty industries to clean industries. We're at the leading edge of that discussion.
I see it when I talk to steel industry, the car industry, the coal mining industry. There is a lot of anxiety in the trade unions that what we're doing is leaving them behind or not thinking about the workers or not having real plans for skilling and reskilling workers. And we can only succeed in that if at all levels trade unions are seen as an integral part of decision-making and as an integral part of policy shaping and execution.
On ne peut plus traiter ces différentes crises en silo. Elles sont totalement imbriquées. Plus largement, on a aussi besoin d'entendre la société civile organisée. Et c'est une des conditions, je crois, de la relance, et notamment de la transition écologique, et c'est aussi un impératif démocratique.
Les relations entre la galaxie de l'écologie politique et le mouvement syndical ont changé de nature, je pense. Je pense que nous sommes des alliés naturels.
On a global scale, I want to bring the question that also behind the discussion on socio-ecological contract, there's a discussion that we might have on inequalities.
I know that you've been discussing the elements of a social and ecological contract, and this is core union business. The Minister reminded us of our initial slogan to campaign around, there are no jobs on a dead planet.
It is time to pursue an economic recovery that incorporates strong decarbonization and puts workers' rights at the heart of the development process. And this is going to require multilateral policy proposals and multilateral action. And I would say that fast-tracking low-carbon mobility, removing distortions such as fossil fuel subsidies, providing incentives to invest in the circular economy.
But in the context of the pandemic and the kind of society that we need, I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong to ask about green jobs and green skills as simply being about those jobs in photovoltaics. But that is not really a green jobs strategy for a world in which we have systematically degraded the greenest jobs of all. And those greenest jobs are the jobs that exist in service-based sectors, where actually the value in those sectors is the time that people put in the service of each other.
C'est quand même incroyable. La question du temps de travail, c'était le grand combat de tous les progressistes pendant 70 ans. On a divisé par 3 le temps de travail en 70 ans, alors qu'il n'y avait pas tellement de productivité, pas tellement de chômage. Et depuis les années 70, alors qu'on a fait des gains de productivité colossaux et qu'on a un chômage de masse, c'est devenu le tabou. Il faut absolument qu'on relance le débat.
There can be nothing more delusional than the idea that Wall Street, the City of London and Frankfurt are concerned about climate breakdown and the need to transform the ecosystem. They're not. The fact is that they have huge power. We've handed it over to them. We're asking BlackRock to implement the Green New Deal.
On est tous d'accord que la question environnementale est une question sociale. Et on est tous d'accord que dans la question sociale, l'essentiel est la question de l'inégalité. Qu'il est nécessaire maintenant de bâtir des indicateurs simples qui guident l'action en matière de transition juste.